2.
And this is another episode of Creative Leadership. Today, we have a timely topic, which, of course, we're celebrating Valentine's Day this week. Happy Valentine's for all those who have someone. And if you're single, don't worry, I went through it too. You, too, can find your person, so you could be on this day like me, too.
Not assuming that you're looking for someone this Valentine's.
So today we have a all-male team. You know, my name is Rembert Monomoc, coming to you live. And everybody introduce yourself.
Oh, I am TJ Burrows. That's all we need.
All right, cool.
Yeah. He's an alumnus.
He's
Right,
alumnus.
yeah.
You got
yeah.
3 alumnus and
Yeah,
one who thinks
yes.
he can make it.
My name is Koval Williams, current student, university student.
Mm-hmm.
Which major? Which major?
Media journalism.
You know, that's
Nice.
good.
Wow.
Man. You should know something.
I'm Don Sargent. I'm an alumnus and employee of the unit. Well, I can't say employee. You know what?
You
Don't
know,
matter.
be proud of it.
Don't
Slave.
matter. Yeah, it
Try
works.
slave.
Yes.
Slave.
Wow,
I
moving
didn't-
on.
Oh,
Yes,
snap.
good
Sorry.
segue.
Wrong
So
podcast.
today's
I am
topic
so
was-
sorry.
Today's topic,
Not
we're
sorry.
talking about gender identity, in
Yes.
particular some of the cognitive terms that's used loosely,
Yeah.
and of course international culture. We don't see these debates in the university, so we thought it would be, I'd say, fun.
I think it's
If
more
we-
like a Western idea
Western.
rather than
Oh
an
yeah,
international.
definitely. All these
Yeah,
are
most
Western.
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
Western. if
So are
anything.
we saying we automatically understand that the Eastern Hemisphere, of course, don't have some of these structural
No, they
problems?
do. They actually have a lot of cases, but we won't have time to go into them. Like,
Because, you know, inside China, I would have been given who I supposed to wear to based on a name or
oh, you
family
have
or-
nothing to say about toxic
What about
masculinity
India,
in
where
China.
my parents
Yeah.
I met a guy at, or girl at age 11, and they're like, yeah, this is who you need to marry. Because we need to understand conceptually that in our culture, back in the day, even when you got married, there was a sharing of goods, eh? There was some roles where a man had to maybe pay for the wedding. And some
And
of
there's
our
also an
islands-
endowment and all that type of stuff.
yeah,
We don't
some
know.
islands
yeah,
it still
yeah.
exist. Like
Yeah.
Long Island, I've heard of a recent wedding where the father said he'll pay for everything. So this is a good segue into our topic, which is firstly the concepts that you mentioned. Tyrone, you could take over because these are some big words, and my
Throw these big words
disability-
up.
my disability is my kick in.
No, well, the two terms I've heard in particular. This was like recently. I saw it everywhere. Like based more so in Canada and the
United
U.S.
States,
yeah,
yeah.
toxic masculinity, and I think it was
Now we have
mansplaining.
some viewers who may be like me and thought when you said toxic masculinity, you're trying to say that when a man touch a woman, eyes poison or something. You need to break that down. What is
I
toxic?
would hope that they don't think that, but then just
It's
I
only
guess
me?
in the hopefully not.
Okay.
But I mean, but I mean, like it's such a it is a bizarre term. It's almost an oxymoron in a way. Like because it kind
Again,
of
there's
makes
a
it
viewer
sound as
who's
if
like,
it's
did he just call me stupid? Because you said no. But anyway, what is an
because-
oxymoron?
All right,
You see, you're
something
going too
that's
smart.
toxic is bad, and then masculinity in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Now, this is something we have
So
to separate.
what's the opposite
Let's
of toxic
define gender
masculinity?
firstly,
Is it
because-
healthy masculinity?
we
or
have to
like, what is
define.
it?
First of
guess.
all, sex, let's break it down. Sex, of course, is based on the sexual organs. Man has a
Chromosomes
penis.
as well, yes.
Chromosomes
Yes.
as well. But man has a penis,
Yes.
a woman has a vagina.
There's
But
intersex
gender,
individuals as well.
Gender is based on the concept of which one you attribute yourself
But they do
to.
not
So
attribute-
masculinity, feminine, like
They
stuff
only attribute that to men though. Like they won't say that a female is showing a display of toxic masculinity. I mean, I've never seen it.
They reinforce it, definitely in the Bahamas,
But that
too.
goes
Yeah,
against
yeah.
the rights because some females may identify themselves
But
as
we're
a
saying
man.
females. Some people take offense to you saying
Well,
females
some
instead of
women want
Yeah.
women.
I ain't trying
have-
to tell you to change
No,
the
no,
language.
no. I have to be fair. I have
Yeah.
to be
But
just
some people, yeah.
You
some
don't know about the
women,
list.
some
Keep going.
born in the orientation of women have identified with a masculine mentality, and some are two-spirited where they think that their spirit is a man. We get into a little deep religion, and some just to a point just add on something and say, I too, I'm a man and I have prostate
I
cancer.
have a problem with the fact though that you're not using the right pronouns.
Please
First
use-
of all, let
yeah.
me talk about
You address
male
us
and
as
female.
Z and Zer.
Yeah, you have
do.
to say Z and Zer. Babies are babies. You have to remember that before you change a baby's diaper. You don't want to. You don't want to just automatically
Misgender it.
assume a gender child. You have to ask the baby,
Right.
"I'm going to change your nanny diaper." Sorry, there's no proper way of saying stoolie diaper. I guess.
Stoolie,
Yeah.
fecal
Can I
matter
do that?
related.
And then-
used to do.
And then so like all of these things actually they're related in some shape, form, or fashion. There's a lot of stuff.
But
you know.
these are not. This my
So if
frame
we
is
talk
not
within
what
the
you go
cultural
into the
context of the
room.
Bahamas, we can do that.
Yeah,
And
let's
like,
do that.
But
For
because
instance,
it gets really, really tricky.
let's
there.
ask
Like,
the
it's like-
question. I'll ask a question on this for toxic masculinity. Is it toxic for a dude for a Bahamian guy, a boy, one of the boys, them.
Within the Valentine context.
Yes,
yeah,
within the
what's
Valentine
yeah,
context, sees a situation like a friend of his brings his attention, like, oh, this dude like your gal picture on Facebook. What you can do about it? And then his reaction is to try to not to seem as if he getting punked or that he weak. He can throw threats at the guy on Facebook or send him messages, and then you see it
I've been a
explode.
victim of that.
But
man.
that's
scary
that's,
though.
that's
That's scary when it
toxic,
happens.
Toxic everything, but
No,
like,
but I lived through that way. Like the guy went to the photo and he's like, well, look at, and his name is Michael. Let's say Michael. Look at Michael, gal, with this dude, eh? Well, look at Michael do it. And I looking at the name of who posted it on Facebook. He's like, Michael. I was like, why is he referring to himself in the third person? Later on, I would find out that he was somebody to be fed. And that was his woman, not mine. I just thought we had a friendship. I learned my lesson.
well, I mean, it's a good thing you didn't go to confront the guy. I mean,
You could have lost your life.
Maybe a gun was pulled and I learned my lesson fast. Let's just
You saw
end the
a gun?
scenario. Maybe it was pointed at my head.
Chrome.
And I told him,
All
hey,
right.
boy, I his homeboy, them friend. He said, but I don't care. They tell me you're a cool dude that I still don't give.
but see, with me, I
See,
would have hugged him.
I alive, though.
I would have given him a hug.
You would have
Hey,
hugged
bro,
him?
what's happening?
I think
hey,
the-
come on,
the
man. We don't have to
trigger-
go through this. Come,
the
come.
trigger might have
Bring it in. Bring it in. Bring it in, bro.
You
But
would've
that's
made-
not that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
you
but-
escalate something to
boy,
that point.
But I think
I
so.
would tell
You're,
him that
you're talking about
more
the defense.
masculine than me right
I think
now
the
with the
defense
gun.
mechanism in our culture is
Yeah,
that
to fight.
I
Violence,
could
violence.
be in a group
Yeah.
and they'd be like, boy, yeah, man. And all of a sudden, the young man can't think no more. It's like, but you
Yeah.
talking with mother boys and like, no, but you gotta understand that's just a concept. He's talking about something.
But he's trying
don't
to
even know.
defend because you're seen as basically.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
He's
use the
puffing your
term.
chest, though.
No, yes, he is.
He
But he's
puffing your
trying to
chest.
seem more masculine and scary, right?
Yeah.
Because if he lets you punk him, as we like
Mm-hmm.
to say, then he can see him like an orifice
But then
that
pa-
isn't
pacifists
associated
like me and
with
this gentleman.
masculinity.
Pacifists like me and this gentleman. I'm
Andy.
talking about everyone. We are people who think the same. I feel like if somebody went to fight him, I have been in possibly almost one fight. I was
In this
almost
day
in
and
one.
age, it's best to be
And
a
I was like,
pacifist
wait, have a
because,
gun and
like,
let's be friends.
You
and
don't
he
know
was like, wait,
who you
does
go in
that?
the fight at all.
You
know
don't
what
want
I
to
mean?
catch a case.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You might, like back in the day, you might get like chopped.
Now you're
bleed out
gonna get-
some or
like,
something
When
like
it comes
that.
to defending your girl,
You
I don't
know,
even
but-
think you need to get. Like, I have a mentality.
Yeah.
If that's my girlfriend,
That's
she knows she's my
understandable.
girlfriend.
That's understandable.
I have had
yeah.
a crew approach
Yeah.
a girl who I was dating, and she knows she is. Shout out to you. And they was like, boy, this one looks sweet. 5 of them surround me. So I look at her. We was holding hands. I gave it 2 squeezes. That's a sign. It's time to go to the car.
If Sean
Let
Canoe
go
or-
of her hand. This is close to John Canoe. You know what I
Sean
talking
Canoe,
about.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's a very
I
toxic
squeezed her
time.
hand twice,
Yeah.
and I proceeded to my vehicle and started the engine and counted to 15.
And then make sure she have to be like at least 2 paces behind you.
What
if
I
you're
trying to
running too fast.
understand is she came at the
But
corner
what you
5,
try to do is
though.
make sure she in the front.
She came at the corner 5 and jumped in the car and said, how you can leave me out there with them?
Why
I
you
say, I was
still
just
doing
checking.
that?
Why am I fighting over my girlfriend with other guys? That
And
don't
that's
make
not
sense.
toxic masculinity. That's cowardice.
That ain't cowardice.
No?
That's sense. I was in the car.
What
ready
about?
to-
maybe
But
she
hold
was
on,
still
hold
Bro,
on.
if I had reached the 0 and she was not in the car, that was never my girlfriend. That was a female who
Well,
I was
that's one way
dating,
of- but-
who decided it
but
is
So you
over.
just trying to be, you know, we ain't never gonna be through. I can send the WhatsApp.
There's no reason to die. You know, what if she be like, oh, so you won't go defend me? You won't go fight for me?
dude.
No! I'm trying to live. Niggas, them are shooting. They are shooting.
Yeah.
This is no time to fight.
But the thing is, are the dudes that are doing it toxic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do they know better?
If you say
do
goodnight,
they know
but
better?
I've had a different experience with it. Like whenever I acknowledge men first, like see, we do have a standard in the Bahamas to some degree. That's
The
some
little
of us
naughty.
left. Yeah, something
Are
like
you
that.
saying that
so
it's
you walk in and
toxic,
be
though?
like, good night, it's gonna.
But is it toxic,
wake
though?
up
Yeah.
fast. Huh?
Is it toxic?
It can be, but you have to
What
try
if it's
and
the
not
only
to like.
thing we know?
Well, it's stupid then.
Then don't go to jungle.
I don't.
First of all,
You know, that's what
I
I say. Like, but that's like to be honest. Like, okay, say for example, we would love to be able to walk and not come into contact with
Certain
stupid
individuals.
people. Let me put it like that.
You just said people. You didn't say.
Yeah, you're correct.
That's very
Right?
good.
They outnumber though.
No,
Right, exactly. So that's why a lot of persons they buy the bleachers now. You know, they go straight to the bleachers and sit down and watch.
And
the-
don't move. And if
Watch
your
the
phone drop, just
parade.
leave it. Don't go down there. Just leave
Yeah,
it.
I think I go in down there for my phone.
No,
Nigga,
I
you
don't.
know what? There's a lot of important stuff on
Ooh,
the phone.
ooh.
You're like, bro.
But if you saw your phone drop and you see one guy come underneath there, reach
No,
up, look at you,
not
and
one
say,
guy.
Thanks.
Let's say 10 of them underneath there.
10 of them.
if
As soon as-
you say thanks, they might give you your phone back. Hey, thanks. Wow, wait. Thanks a lot, Dred.
I
Thanks
think
so much.
I'm a
And
person.
you say,
If I
yeah,
saw a
they may
drop
give
and
you a
I
phone
saw
back.
somebody proceeding to reach, I'd be like, but I get 100 right now, but I come on there to give it to you, but I appreciate
They're
it.
taking the
Just to
phone
give him some
and
incentive.
the money.
No,
Yeah.
I need some incentive so he don't steal.
They
I
can
don't
take the
really
phone
have the
and the
100.
money.
I need him like
They'll
just
take
to place
you on
it.
the phone and the
Place
money.
the phone
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
hand, I run away. Police, hey, police, hi, they trying to rob me. That's all.
The police don't go down there by themselves. You know, they travel in squads and they stay at choke points. When you in the ocean of under those certain bleachers,
They don't interfere.
just like,
what if I
oh.
just like do code for police? Squatties!
And you know what the police
Squatties!
can do? They can say, "Yeah, well, that one going, eh?"
Because
Squatties!
you-
This is me,
like,
this 295.
Because you have that issue
295.8,
that actually
something like
goes
that,
like with everywhere. Like say you have toxic masculinity on the police force, and you may have it.
Of course.
You know, but then it's a culture thing. So,
Well,
It's us as a people.
but
This-
then
this
we
is-
don't
this
really-
is a
we still
time-
don't know what that is exactly.
again, toxic
in the Bahamian
masculinity,
context,
but yet
though,
there's
so.
this thing on, everybody is cognizant of it, on this thing called UB Confessions, where
Oh,
there's
the
a
guy.
female
Yeah.
confessing that she drugged a male, and her and 5 of her friends, I guess, I don't want to assume it's 6.
Free my
but
boy.
they, I would say,
Rape, that's rape,
They raped
that's rape.
the male, and nothing happened. I was waiting for the police to make national papers or something. Nothing
Like I
happened.
cannot go to the police station and talk about
But
that.
isn't
because they
that
may laugh from out
toxic
the station.
femininity?
But if it happened the other way around, right?
No,
We
I don't see that.
instantaneously.
I don't know if that really exists. Like couple men have.
She raped a guy, bragged about it, posted it, and said, "Check your phone. My number in there. I want you again." The guy, I guess, is.
I don't
is-
think it's toxic femininity. It's just toxic. That's a bad person.
But
Jared.
that
Like,
that is let's dumb it down.
That's
again.
why toxic
if
masculinity
you
don't
have
really
a girl
make
come
sense.
on to you and
Uh-huh.
you ain't interested in her, and you decide, hey, no, you know what? I actually love Jesus and I holding off from sex.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna proceed to call you a sissy.
Oh yes.
Or say,
Oh, yeah.
you know what? You must be like mine because you ain't interested in me.
That's
She can't
true.
accept the
That's true.
rejection.
That
But
actually
then the
happened
man
more.
could be a man and just don't care. Like
I have done that, and you have to take the consequences.
take the
She's gonna go to
consequences.
all her friends
Yes,
and say, you know,
yes.
I offered him the opportunity, and he said
Because
no.
you as a man cannot deny sex because you're
Is
supposed to
that
always
what
want to have
toxic
sex.
Not gonna-
femininity.
And I
That
have.
is exactly how the
I
feminist
have,
movement
like,
started.
it-
Females
you know what I
started
found
communicating.
aside women who do that. There's always like a few friends that probably agree, and
Yes.
then like behind them be like, "That's a good man though." And listen, the struggle is real, you know. A lot of people don't be like, I have had females tell me that they don't trust their female friends. So
Yeah.
I don't know if she will tell her friends that that's what happened because they may go and be the better woman who actually understands
There
that
are
hey, I
also
don't
the
want to do
females.
this right
There
now.
are also the
you
females
know, I don't know.
who hear that you have a good man,
Mm-hmm.
and they hear your stories in the crowd. I guess in these conversations because I haven't been in them. But a few counseling sessions I have been privy to. The females have talked about how they bragged about their boyfriend, and then who they thought was their best friend went to see if
Like,
what they were
that's
saying
a-
was
is it
true.
a- Is it a
You're right.
feminine
And
thing?
after
Or is it-
sleeping, now the boyfriend in the position where, boy, me and your best friend
Mm-hmm.
did something. And now the thing is, most likely they just break up with the guy. They just keep the best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But say, oh, you's a dog, you sleep with her. No, this your fault. Ain't nobody tell you to tell your
Well, yeah,
friend
that's
as a
a
good man.
character
Your
flaw,
friend,
though.
your friend don't
Whoa.
respect you though. Like
I
your
don't
friend
know.
don't respect you if you're doing that.
Right, it's
Don't.
almost like these the kind of friends that you have. That's just toxic. Period. You know what I mean? It's like
So
you
it's
around
not
toxic people.
And this where benevolent sex.
That's why the masculinity and the
There is
femininity attachment to it just don't really make sense. to me.
This is something I mentioned in my book. I'll quote my research book,
Yeah.
which is I do not believe in this era there should be so much focus on what is the task that you should do as a man and the task that I should do as a female.
I have a curveball.
I believe
Oh
that
Lord.
Two curveballs.
I believe that if two people decide
Uh-huh.
to be in a relationship and they have found the ideal rules or functions that work in their relationship, they
Right.
are to covenant that, they are to get married with that, and they are to function within the respect that I understand this is what you say you like to do, this is what I say I like to do. If the woman want work and let them stay home and
I
take
was
care
going to
of the
ask you if the
children,
woman is the breadwinner, then
if
they
she
made
could
a-
do that and comfortably understand that you can't beat him up for not being the breadwinner when this is your agreement
he
at the
married
end
a
of the
guy
day.
too. Is also
Or if he never really supported financially, but he was there for good loving and support when you come home from work. And then at the age of 50 or 40, you want to jump up and say, boy, you won't ever buy me nothing in my life. It's like, this is not, to my concept. Is
Okay.
that
I would
if
hate these
there's an
curveballs.
established
so
rule.
what makes a man in a relationship?
Now we're going back, if you have to say the term
See?
man.
No,
or
what
man,
is-
we're
what
going
is-
back
what
to
is-
toxic.
what is-
Because he's a man. Like I can't look at a man. You know,
like-
I am
that's
not
a
going
great
to call a man anything
All
else
is
but a man.
all, and that's all
No, but
is.
what is
You
the
know what I mean?
curveballs? What are the curveballs you say? You say
But,
two
yeah,
but
curveballs.
but then
No,
see,
no.
that's biological and all that stuff.
What's
'cause they
by
are-
what do you mean?
So you trying to say there's differences between
Well,
the
actually,
sexes?
tested. There is a
You
Brazilian
sexist.
runner who was tested and they
Sexist
discovered.
bigot.
Oh,
You bigots.
there was a Brazilian runner
That person was-
who was tested and they found that her testosterone level was higher.
That's a different thing. though.
because her
Yeah.
ovaries, what we perceive to be her
That's
ovaries,
the
were
that's the
actually,
exception to the rule, though.
were actually testicles. Therefore, the reason why she was perceived to look like a male, why she was strong like a male, and why she ran fast almost like a male, was that it's because she had balls and not ovaries. Now, the debate is, this was true and they debated it inside Olympics, but now she isn't winning races.
Oh, wait.
That's an exception.
Hold on,
to the
hold
rule.
on.
isn't winning
Hold on.
simply
Is
because-
this the transgendered lady?
No, she's not trans.
This is
Oh,
a
it's
Brazilian.
this is
She is
a
identified as
this
a
is
lesbian
unique
now,
case.
actually.
No, but because there was a case similar to that of someone who got a sex change.
MMA.
Yes.
And she run.
Wrecked.
He,
Wrecked.
I don't know what to say. The person
The person that
I
changed
am
the
so
gender to
sorry.
a
Can't
woman.
say it. At
If
least
I
you didn't
offend,
say it.
yeah, because I know
But
that we're being progressive,
there are
so I apologize.
there are biological differences. If you look at the men's 100
you have
meters
to keep, you have
numbers,
to keep taking the hormones to stay that way. So what happened is the female opponent was like, she has never taken a beating like that in her life in the cage. Then they had a race where there were persons who they identify as female. They have done none of the procedure, none. They shouldn't done anything of that. None of the persons that lost to these two persons.
these two
'Cause
persons,
we being
individuals.
progressive, right? Because we won't be progressive, right?
Right.
They could not say anything about it, and I could see that these girls were pissed. But it's
Well,
like,
they have that. Well, there's a debate now.
what do we do?
about the
And then what about
cheerleaders
the-
in the Super Bowl?
What about working in the STEM fields? STEM fields are science, technology, engineering, and what, math or mechanics or something like that.
But they
most
say it's
times-
sexist. People
right.
say it's sexist that women don't enter
And
these fields.
no one stops
Women
them from
are what?
getting in the fields.
No, people say it's
listen,
sexist that like if you own a tech company like Facebook
But
and
this is what
Google,
I'm saying.
that they need to hire more women because
They
obviously
do.
they hire predominant. They
the
do.
vast majority of the persons who sign up are men. They
But
don't say
yes,
that you can't
but
do it if
there's
you're a
a
woman.
there's an explanation for this, right? Because if you look at the University of the Bahamas, for instance, you will find like I was once upon a time in nursing. I was about.
I did not know.
I know, right? There was about, let's say it was 100
I can't
students.
believe that, though.
It was 100
You have a
students.
gentle
I
heart.
automatically, I immediately was like remembering, like, wow, that is very brave.
No, I know.
No, that's like because I know
I
the
left
culture.
it. I
you know?
left. I know. Yeah, I
You
ran
didn't
head
stick and
first.
stay?
No, I
What's
couldn't
wrong
take
with
it.
you, man?
I couldn't take it.
Couldn't take the blood?
No, not the blood. I couldn't take
You
the
had to
trash
deliver
talking.
babies
It was the
for
trash
your
talking.
life.
It just made me just like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I won't do this in my life no more. I just I
What you
can't
mean,
do
girls
this.
like, hey, use
No.
a nurse, hey,
When you get on the floor, I think the first day I went on the floor,
so you could deliver our baby for
all
free.
of us walk up the stairs in PMH. And you walk through, because you got to walk through the wards, because they give you a tour of all the
You're
wards.
on. This is your third semester. No, you
Third
already
year.
finished your two.
Yes, and I went on the nursing
Oh!
campus.
This far along in the
We walked through the hospital, and
Did
it
you have
was
a beard?
like.
Did you
it
have a
was-
beard? Hold on.
You want me to
I want to
the
picture
issue
this.
is-
Did you have a beard?
No,
at
I
the
never
time?
been. I had like a goatee.
I think
You had a
think
goatee too?
Yes.
Continue story.
The
Sorry.
issue is the root word, I feel. Like, for example, if you were just a caretaker, it's different, like, or an orderly and say, like, Sandilands or something like that, right? But it's nurse, it's you
No,
and
but
nursing.
understand the
women nurse,
visuals.
you know what I
It's
mean?
like,
And-
say, 30 people in the class. There's literally 2 dudes in this entire class.
Which is to be
so
expected.
it's an army of women coming
Yeah.
forward, and you see 2 dudes striking along in the back, which is me and one of my
I
boys.
mean,
he
not to be
graduated.
biased, one of them always look a little soft though.
He wasn't. Neither
What
of
is
us were.
soft? Like,
Neither of
that's-
us were.
People
but-
will find offense to that if you say
Well,
soft.
I
like-
did it to be devil's advocate.
I know
That's
why
soft,
you're
you
saying
know, like
that.
that's-
Yeah.
I understand
You know
the
what I mean?
perception. But as we walk through, you hear the jazz like, oh, look at all the beautiful ladies. Boy, these niggas like money. And it's like,
Really, wife? Wow.
literally.
I'm trying to save
Like,
lives.
I know 2 nurses and they guys and they.
And literally,
do you know
the
what's
further
money-
we went through the hospital, the louder and louder it got. And I was like, but I feel like I'm in the wrong field.
You was wearing the scrubs? And you,
Yes, I was
You wasn't
in-
wearing a hat and the skirt.
No, I was
right?
aware. I had my
You know,
Was that poison masculinity?
I guess
Did
so
you
it
feel
was.
poisoned?
I'd
for
say
being
in
a
that
man?
I was
case,
poisoned.
I'd say that is a very toxic way to look at it. And really, as culturally, say for example, and I'll be honest with you all, right? We know at one point that, hey, a job is a job, and you let someone find out that, hey, listen, if you be a nurse and you do the math for them, you would have plenty people, guys, signing up to be nurses and stuff.
I'm trying to go to the
feel- I
States.
feel
Especially
like-
if they change if they change the word nursing too, because nursing has a somewhat maternal connotation to it, I guess maybe.
Well,
you know?
people perceive it
that's
that way,
actually-
but
that's
take a look at it
Yeah,
like
you
this,
know,
which
but
is why I
Just
brought
a
it up in the
healthcare
first place.
assistant or something.
Is
Exactly.
if you look at it right, is that females flock towards women.
Are
Women.
you mansplaining right now?
Yes, I'm totally mansplaining right now.
Check.
But yes, females flock towards certain areas. If you look at the architecture program at the University of Bahamas, it's starting to become a little bit more balanced, but predominantly you'll find more males. Probably the engineering program will reflect the same thing.
I've been seeing a lot more females.
Yeah,
and stuff.
it's
That's
starting
what,
to change. But
Yeah.
if you look in like teaching, for instance, overwhelmingly female.
Yeah.
If you look
Yeah.
in psychology, it's a little bit of 50-50.
changing now, but yeah.
Law,
Yeah,
is
we
still-
said that with education, like.
but it's
you
just
got- yeah,
warmth
just- yeah.
for females.
I
And
think it's money though.
Do you see how much female principals there are now?
yes.
But if a guy has to choose between being a police
Not
officer,
saying that's a problem.
and
But you
being
don't need
an
a degree
educator-
for it to be a police officer.
Right, and I
Yeah.
think he's going to lean towards being a police
And I
officer
get to
because
be
he thinks
a man.
he's going to get it's the money.
No, but I get to be a man. Like when I walk through this uniform, you don't respect me. I
Well,
get to
see,
be a
there's
man.
also that, but then let me put it like this: you got to see
you
on
won't
to
hear
that
me.
a lot of.
I
get
know
what
the
you're
law.
saying.
You will not hear me.
I
don't
know
need
the
you
law.
to explain get in this car.
But I grew up in the league in the police thing. I'm so like that was there, but like my
talking
daddy,
too much,
boy.
boy.
Holy
But
cow!
you want us get the phone bucket?
Wait.
Why you talking,
What
bro?
phone? But they don't even use the phone,
Bro,
no
They
more.
use
Bro.
the clamp, man.
No, they
You
don't
out
use
there
nothing.
They stop
Awaki?
using the clamp?
You
They
out
stop
there?
using-
You out there
They're using the
Awaki?
desk, the chairs, the tires.
You out there Awaki talking like this to me? What you want me to say?
Wear your polo shirt and your white baseball cap.
Come to the station. Come to the
Yeah,
station.
the white
Don't run.
tennis and
If
the
you
shirt
run,
is-
it's a situation. Honestly, but I did that for a reason.
The
That's
exact way
exact
he
thing
just said
that's
that is
how
what
it is.
happened to me before the police.
It's like you
fist
trying
fight.
to take
We
the
don't know
piss like
why
that.
though. We don't know why though.
But he was,
Bro,
he tried.
why
He
you trying
started
to
me for
articulate
$20.
yourself as a man?
They deal with that every day. Like we ain't we ain't through Brum Street. You see they through there. You know what I mean? So when police officers like they reach
But
and
you
they
could
get in the
look
car,
at- you could
they
almost
come and
look-
be like, "Rah!"
You
Right?
could look and
on
see
this
who on
campus
their
that
end.
happened us.
Yeah.
And like as soon as I do not smart talk police officers.
I saw that
They
too.
tweet, they triggered.
Yeah, I saw
So
that.
like, hey, what's going on? Like, hey, what's going on, sir? Is all well? Okay. All right, they come on. Oh, where you going?
Be like, there should be like, hi.
After a
How are you,
while,
officer?
Hi, officer.
now watch this. The gun.
Police are our friends.
The gun will go from here to here.
Yeah.
To, yeah, man, I know.
Yeah, they-
I
But,
actually-
hey, and then they switch on them. Hey, remember you, boy?
Yeah, that's, if they
I
do
got
that-
pulled over like that
Oh,
before.
but that's him. Stop like it, man.
I got pulled over like
No,
that before.
and the thing is,
Hey, you
what
want
I've
to
done
press
makes
the
it,
siren? You press the siren?
No, like,
what I've done makes it worse, you know, because
Uh-huh.
they probably automatically think that because I'm affiliated with that I probably will come with a certain level of arrogance too.
Right.
So I have to be careful, babe. Like, if I come
But you want
outside-
BTC posters, though?
no boy.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah, they
can't-
think-
Oh, no,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
definitely can stop you because
Yeah.
you got money. Your tail light up.
and then they find out that I don't. So, like, they be like, yeah, man, you give me Scotty something. I got $20 if you want
So that's
some
where
bamboo
there's a particular scene in one of your what it is Hello Mondays
Yeah, and
that
I
looked too real. You was actually acting that on point.
Well, that's what happened to me.
Let me run this.
I don't
this,
remember the
and-
guy's face, what year it was, how old he was, how tall
you
or
remember
short
the
he was, or
story?
anything like that. I don't even remember if there was a police car. I just put my disclaimer out there.
But you had the police uniform to make it look
It was a
good. though.
police boy.
That's your brother.
He was a police boy.
What your number was? 000.
No, boy. My number then was, yes, pi.
Pi.
Yeah.
Pi was. It was a.
It's 3.6, 3.0.
6th Street.
Anyway, but so we mentioned this word earlier, mansplaining. I think we have to be responsible and explain what that is. What is mansplaining?
Well, that's what they say that mansplaining is when
A man explains something to a woman.
Yeah.
So let me get this as a person. If I describe what I want to say or explain myself from my points as
You
a
have to
human
see it
being,
in action.
they will say as a response, "Well, I understand
Like
you
in the
think you did it as a
Australian
human,
Parliament, like
but
you
you
have
only
to-
did
yeah.
it because you was a man, and therefore it's mansplaining."
Right. So I think it's I really feel like it's kind of their way. Sometimes they're saying like you talking to me as if I don't understand already.
Or you're talking to a child. They're trying
Right.
to. It's like the insinuation is that you're being condescending with it.
Right.
But how much males went to jail for not mansplaining?
No, it's only
No,
when a
on-
man,
no, let's talk about
but it's
gods.
only when a man talking to a woman. That's
All-
when it's.
I
That's
know,
when it
and
applies.
most magistrate, I mean, I know
Yeah.
a few who are female, but when they go up before the magistrate, with their pants buckled up high, they never bag before in their life. Their shirt in their pants, looking all respectable. It's a mansplaining moment, or is it a I quiet and I have to take whatever they give me?
It's an I quiet and I have to take whatever they
Exactly.
give me.
So
yeah.
this concept of mansplaining to me only exists within a paradigm of freedom and just wanting to express yourself without any kind of recall.
I don't think you should call it mansplaining.
Uh,
Period.
uh,
You know what I mean? Because
mean,
of
yeah.
because of what it implies.
I can't be
I
myself.
don't know.
In this
I don't know.
What male could go around?
No, I'm
and
saying
really
just
say what they
explain it
gotta
as
say, bro?
Ren. You see what I'm saying?
No,
bro?
but
Someone
Ren
saying
is a
that-
brand. You got to remember this. Ren is a brand. Renbird is a brand. Wayne Head is a brand. Each of my characters has a particular brand.
Then Wayne had explaining that.
Ren doesn't go to events and do silly stuff in pictures. Wayne Head does that.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm psycho. I'm just saying I know branding. I
Right.
know where it should be and when
But
it
if
should
I
go.
having a regular conversation, I ain't thinking about TJ, the guy from the video, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Why do people... All right, let's say, for example, the Dragon Ball Z came out. I have to explain it to someone who doesn't know much about
Oh,
it. And I
Jesus,
start
yeah.
breaking it down. I start talking about Kung Fu and Ki and all that. Why? And if someone asks you why you mansplaining, I'm breaking it down so you understand why the guys like it so much.
I mean, like it's
know?
it's it's really tricky
It's
because
tricky. Like you can't win.
I just mad because they took the X out of explaining and put mine there. So
it didn't have to be there. Like it just.
They
Didn't.
why
X
can't
out
we
X.
just why can't we just call it being
explaining.
condescending?
Why
no.
I just can't be explaining myself?
No, because you could do it in a condescending manner. Why can't you just say, well, someone's being condescending?
Why you can't
There's
understand the
literally a
person that
word
I
for it
really
already.
that dumb, you could actually be a little
All right,
bit
let
more
me
elaborate, you know?
understand this. We have somebody who quiet, right? So, if you was to go to a strip club for your birthday, I'm gonna talk this. I'm gonna be real.
I was actually thinking the whole time, like, be quiet. And I'm like, no, man, I don't want you doing that. I didn't.
No. We get him. We gotta be fair.
This
So,
one?
if you went to a strip club for your
You
birthday,
still getting me just now? Hey, my bad.
you went to a strip club for your birthday, right? I say it 3 times. I gotta cut that out later. And you have your girl call you and say, why you went to a strip club on your birthday with your boys? What would you say? Without telling her, what would you say?
What do you mean without telling her?
Without telling her, you went to your boys surprised you, carried you to a strip club, you had a great time.
Oh, she asked you where you been.
And now she asked you, no, she ain't asked where you been. We have social media. Come
Okay.
on, people
She know I been there.
Hey, why you been to Sugar Hill? And he didn't tell me. What you could do?
I mean, it was a surprise. I didn't even know I was going, so you can't really blame
So you
me
want
for
to,
that.
let me be her. So you want her to call me or text me before you step in there?
See,
Why
right?
you have to go in there anyway?
See, right, my phone would die, right? And they was my ride. So they already bring me here.
So your
They re-
boys is your ride.
Yeah, they already set this whole
So
thing
you
up. It's a
couldn't
surprise.
call me.
Well, I mean,
So look at it. No,
It
no,
ain't
but
like
look
I
at this.
touching them or
Look
nothing.
at all that, right? Versus what the typical Bahamian, not the educated one would do. The typical Bahamian, if a typical Bahamian man, and I say this as no offense to my country.
When he was there, there's pushing the stool, I thought I was falling through the floor.
So what happened? What he's describing right now is, as I was saying that stuff, this guy was getting nervous with his feet. But the typical Bahamian man, instead of going that route of trying to be honest, which is what I had to learn as a young man, I had to learn why they do this. Babe, where you was, why you was to the strip club and you won't tell me? Man, don't talk about that. Done. That's
done. I wouldn't
done.
have been done.
No. For them, don't matter what she say next. Done. What you mean done? You won't tell me that? Hey, babe, I ain't gonna lie. It's my birthday last night. I had fun with my boys. It's over. Done. That inside this context is mansplaining. I'm saying what I gotta say as a man, and it over. I ain't hearing nothing. And the attitude I'm
Yeah,
portraying
that's a problem.
is that I don't need to explain why I had to go there last night. The fact is, I been that over and I back here. Now, in the instance of putting myself in her shoes, I could see why
That's the
some
problem.
females would want to jump up and say, bro, this ain't right. How a man could just say, instead of explaining himself and being honest, how he could just say something and not be it. And then, let's take it back 60 years when a man walked into the household and his presence was there and the children was being rude. All a female had to say in the household. And we've heard the stories, we've seen movies. All they had to say is, I could tell your daddy. All the children stopped. But because he was the disciplinarian, bro. There was no this and that. It was the teacher call and say, you was rude in school. Wow. That's our culture.
Hadouken.
It was you being in children's church and you was too
Shit,
noisy.
cool.
Yeah, but the game changed now, though.
The game changed because
Yeah.
of the thinkers.
Well,
We-
Well,
if
I
our
was gonna
parents
say,
go to bite when I think the average Bahamian child now is growing to this mentality where if my mommy come to hit me, I need to stop and say, hey, wait. Ultra instinct. Wait.
I know about that. Like,
Let me
boy.
explain.
I know about that.
You
I was,
got
Let me
gonna,
explain.
I was gonna say things changed
You got some
predominantly
Kung Fu
because
masters now.
back in the day, I think where we had like over 80% of households there was a father in the household.
Right.
Even though a lot of the fathers back in the day had 10 and 20 children with other women and all that foolishness, they still supported their multitudinous amounts of families. Now I think it's like 65%. Last 2016 was like single mother households, and I think they said in Freeport it's like 85% of households. Between Freeport and Providence, 85% of households are single mother households, so there's no father in the place. So the whole dynamic of how that relationship would work has already been destroyed in this country in the first part, but people still operate as if that is the case.
Well, I think this is my ultimate ending points of this whole mansplaining and masculinity, toxic, all this stuff. I feel it is a part of a social agenda to definitely settle down or kind of get people to a point where we want them. So a generation later, when people trying to do whatever this is, being a man or whatever, it's then changed. The story of the narrative has changed. And I say that to say, a time ago in our society, you could have looked at somebody and said there's a sissy. And they would reject it until they die. But later on in life, what happened? They end up maybe liking man or being homosexual. Now, if you call somebody that, there's repercussions. You need to go to the principal's office. They could fight for their rights. I'm not saying they should not have those opportunities. I'm saying at one point we used to say it, and
it's
that's
a double-edged sword, right? Because
now we gotta explain everything.
Bahamians argued the same thing for Buju Banton with the whole Boom Bye Bye song, right? And they said that it's freedom of speech. Now, I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong in the discussion, but what Bahamians framed the conversation as stopping him from singing this song was a violation of his freedom of expression, right?
It is, as an artist too.
But the problem with that argument is, right, if a white person, because they had a whole article on this about white people changing the word "batty boy," changing it to the N-word man, right? And then Bahamians are saying, oh, well, he can't say that, that's racist. And it's like,
no, it's not
that's
racist.
violating his constitutional rights, as you like to claim it, of freedom of expression. See? So but the problem with the discussion
that's like saying
is,
instead of I shot the sheriff, it's like, I shot my brother.
Kinda.
But I didn't shoot my auntie.
What I'm getting at is you don't find the whole song to be offensive because it's not about you.
No.
But if I were to sing, for instance, there's a song called Alabama N-word, right? To go on YouTube.
Out. Why are we focusing on the song saying...
No, it's not the song. I'm getting at the message.
All right, let me hear some more.
So listen. The song's called Alabama N-word, right? It's all about the story about the NAACP and black rights and white people call it. It's a song by a white dude. People took high offense to it and said that it should never be played on the radio, and YouTube demonetizes videos that sometimes included in it. It's seen as a racist song. But people were able to get that song basically shut down because they didn't agree with the message and found it offensive. But yet we don't see the parallels between that, the song pointing at our race being a specific stereotype, and you do the same thing with Boom Bye Bye. Now, again, you're violating someone's freedom of expression, freedom of speech to stop them from performing that song the same way as they do in the same thing with Buju. But the problem with the discussion is people frame it as though only my needs need to be met and screw everybody else who gets offended by anything I say.
Right.
There's two things I want to bring up. First of all, Kevin Hart is not going to be hosting the Emmys or Grammys children because he refused to apologize again for something he apologized to.
I agree.
And that is very relevant.
Yeah, I actually thought that was nonsense.
That's very relevant to what because I'm talking to the powers that may be.
Yes.
The second thing I want to say is that Family Guy was once canceled because people thought that people wasn't watching. But the people in psychology were watching. The millions of people who was watching said, but you all need to put this back on. They sent letters. And Family Guy was brought back. And Family Guy, to this date, has done some of the most offensive things in a very direct, in-your-face way, even talking about the network and saying, oh, they're probably not going to play this episode because we did this, and they have gotten away with all of it.
They changed a lot of stuff now, though. The new season is supposed to take a lot of Asian
I haven't kept
jokes.
up. I stopped watching Family Guy 3 years ago. But my point is, those two examples of Kevin Hart not hosting because he refused to apologize again for something he apologized to, and Family Guy being taken off the air, but then the people saying, but this is good, what are y'all doing? And it being put back on, speaks to the power of the people, in that, yes, he was chosen, I'm talking about Kevin Hart, was chosen to do something, but the people needed him to do something to show
a group of people.
Going back to
a group of people.
Yeah, my prior argument is that this isn't a discussion even about gender when we talk about masculinity and toxic. It's about power. A male.
It is about critical race.
It is assumed that the male is always the strongest in the relationship.
That is. I'm not arguing with that, but the whole reason we're having this discussion is because it's a topic that's been raging since the 1970s about identity, about critical race theory and its intersection with Marxism. Because Marxist principles always talk about where power lies.
Yeah.
The conversation is always about where power lies. And if you look at how the conversations are framed about toxic masculinity, about feminism, issues about being a straight white male makes you the most privileged group in the entire world, and who is privileged and who's not. You notice all of these discussions
you could go deeper and say that all that was a plan.
But that's what I'm telling you. It is the discussion about identity and critical race theory and Marxism. All of these things are interrelated.
What I'm trying to say is to have a child at the age of 8 say that I am a homosexual and that's what I decided at the age of 8.
I mean, like the dry kids, boy.
I feel like that's irresponsible as a parent because at 8, I thought a lot of stuff too. I did. I thought a lot of stuff.
I don't know. I can't. I don't find that to be the most problematic thing around. I think it's very horrible when you see certain people doing sex changes on their children under the age of 10.
That's devastating. Before puberty and all that stuff.
And then putting them on hormones and stuff. And the thing about it is some people like to say, oh, well, studies show this and that. And the actual truth is, a lot of studies are still being conducted,
And
and,
still
the
rel-
question is still out there. But the general consensus is you shouldn't touch them during a certain period when they're
The
developing.
studies ain't even been out 30 years.
Boom.
And we experiment. It's sort of like with food. We experiment with it because of what we discovered maybe in a 2-year span. But 60
not
years
ethical,
later,
though. It's
well,
not ethical.
30 and 60 years later, we discover all the side effects. For instance, why is breast cancer higher among the Lutheran population of females than the rest of the Bahamian Islands? We know that there was toxic waste put in the ocean at one point.
Yep.
We know that's a fact. And we know that there are several things on the island that are being done. But we can't connect them, causation versus correlation. We can't connect them directly as studied individuals.
Plus, there's also like other things to take into consideration.
Exactly. So we in an intellectual ball, we could see how much contributing factors come to something, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can see that. In these discussions that we're talking about, power, beings, gender, it's so large. And it's so influenced by every part of society.
No, it's
that
very
I feel-
small. I disagree with
You
you.
feel- all right.
It's very.
May I
Why I
hear?
say it's very small is it's literally one part of in the social sciences since the 1960s to 70s to this day that has pushed a specific idea. Like I said, where critical race theory intersects with Marxist principles. And if you notice, a lot of people, well, they like to make the argument, especially conservatives, as to say the social sciences are full of Marxists, yada, yada, yada. That's not necessarily a crazy idea to say that. If you take a look at it and just ask some people who literally are professors in the field, they'll tell you what their political leanings is, and you'll oftentimes find that it leans heavy to the left. And there's a reason for that, because I don't like to use the word agenda because then people like to frame it as if, oh, it's so evil. Everybody has an agenda.
What, the ideologue or the
Yes,
ideology?
they're pushing an ideological position on issues. Everybody pushes ideological positions on issues. It's just that this idea has more baggage with it than we on the surface level would think about.
And just why we can't have a female prime minister. Anyway, this has been
We
another.
can. We can.
Wow.
We can.
Yes, we can.
This,
I don't know why you would say that.
I want to
Holy
stop
cow.
it there. This conversation can keep going on, but
Yeah.
this is another episode of Start about. This has been another episode of Creative Leadership. Let's continue to grow together.
Bang a lang.
Yeah.